But just a little bit about myself, and like I said, I'll have to regress just a little bit once we fill up the room, because I think they have about 3 people register. But I'm Jennifer Vories. I'm from the Northern Kentucky market. Heidi actually recruited me from another company in Northern Kentucky years ago, 16 and a half years ago. It's crazy. And I was at the #1 company in my town, and I just got my license, and I had no idea what I was doing. And has anybody ever been to that part of real estate before, where you get your license and you're like, oh, what is this thing called real estate? And they tell you, go lead gen, and I didn't know, literally, I was having this conversation this morning, I did not know what lead generation was. I was with my company for 3 years, and everyone was saying it, but no one was showing me how to do it. The good thing is Christy and David and I come from the casino business, and we knew a lot of people. And when you're in the casino business, everybody watches you work because you're on an open forum. Like, they can literally see how hard you work and if you don't work. And I was blessed that I worked with these two here in the Louisville metro area, and everyone could see that we were grinders. And when I got my license, everyone knew in Northern Kentucky that I was a grinder. But my business by default just started growing super, super quick. And then, thank goodness, Keller Williams came to Northern Kentucky, which a good friend of mine, Craig's Heidi Ford, was here in this region, and she came down to Northern Kentucky and she brought KW to my region, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. But before I do, I want to make sure that everyone knows who I truly am, because I didn't start off a mega agent, and no one does, right? We all start off somewhere. So I grew up on a small little farm in Northern Kentucky. My parents accidentally had me at 17 years old. And so they were scraping to put pennies together, and grew up in a single wide trailer in a trailer park for the first 3 years of my life. And then my parents made enough money to do it about kids and land. And I grew up working on a working farm, which was really, really cool. And because of that, it's part of my story that I want to make sure that you guys understand. And hopefully, if you didn't grow up on a farm, you can relate to this part of it. I did not know that we were dirt poor. I had no idea, because I had all the love that I could possibly ever want in my life from my parents. And every single day they taught me work ethic. And I didn't know it then, but I hated my life. I hated waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and milking cows before I went to school. I did not like driving a tractor at 5 years old with a grip on the pedal, and I just had to do the driving. That was my life as a little girl, and I didn't know anything better or worse, because that's just what I had to do. And fast forward, I got into school, and my mom was very diligent on telling me, Jen, you're not going to ever miss school. Like, you're going to school every day. And I'm like, whatever, that's what you're supposed to do, right? So I went to school for 13 straight years, and I missed a day of school in my entire life. 13 years. I only met 2 people in my whole existence during, my 49 years on this earth that has done the same. So I knew at a young age that I was a little different. But I didn't know how different until Keller Williams came into my life and really showed me what my parents had taught me about work ethic, how I could take that and create a world around what my parents had taught me. And it just so happened I had a vehicle called real estate to do it with. And I know Ricky, right?
Yeah,
Richie,
yeah.
Brand new to real estate. The world is right here for you. And this company is everything that you're going to need to take your business from right where you're at to wherever you need to be. And not everybody's business is the same. Some people have mega businesses like mine. Some of my friends just have solo businesses. It's whatever you want to make it. And that was the beauty about going from my one company into Keller Williams, because they actually taught me to have a business, which was really incredible as a 37-year-old when I got recruited to KW. So now fast forward 16 years later, actually 15 years, we've had Northern Kentucky open. I transitioned over, was doing about 30 deals myself at my other company, hired my very first admin, who always read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book in here. Great book, read it on my 16 time reading it, and it just taught me how to go from just transactional to entrepreneurship. So I hired my first admin, didn't know what I was doing, failed many, many times. She stayed with me for 9 years. I won't even know why. But she helped me build my business from 30-some listings and sales to 60, and then 60 to over 100. Last year, and I'll show you here in just a second, we actually went back in units last year, guys. We only did 150 units, but we still did 43 million in regular sales, but 46 in all of my referral sales. And I'll talk a little bit about that as well. And this, we normally do about 200 units a year. The most our team has ever done is 225 units. That was in 2018. And Christine David will tell you, I love my team something big. When we hit goals, we go places. We've been to St. Thomas. I've taken them on a cruise before, because this is a lot of work, guys. Real estate is not for the faint of heart. I get calls all the time. I'm the #1 recruiter in Northern Kentucky for our office, and I'm not the team leader. I just love to recruit. And people will say, "Oh, I want freedom." I'm like, "You better go find another job." Because that you're getting freedom with real estate is, I mean, start that. Right? You don't get freedom, you get gray hair is what you get. But there's also a lot of good things that go along with it. So I wanted to tell you just a little bit about my past, because what you see today is what my past has created, but it's the under the ice cube, you know, that big, that inside of the red book, it'll show you that big iceberg out in the ocean. Everyone sees the land, right? No one sees the hard work that we all put in every single day, and especially our clients see it. Our team sees it if we work side by side with each other, and maybe your Keller Williams office does, but the real world does not have any freaking clue how hard it is to do what we do. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Now I'm going to tell you just a little bit about what we've been able to create, and we'll go into this listing packet. I'm not good with PowerPoints, but I do want to say that my our marketing director, Mackenzie, put this PowerPoint together for me. I love to coach, and I normally coach on a whim. I love talk. I'm a high personality, probably why I got SWATs every day in school. Mind you, I never missed a day at school, and I got a lot of SWATs, guys. So who would have known that a girl that talked a lot could actually be a real estate agent, right? So Jesus, I am actually in Northern Kentucky right now. I'm the second largest listing specialist. There's one girl that does more business than what we do. She does about 425 units a year to our, to our average 200. So we got a big gap. And my goal ever since I met Heidi was to be the #1 agent in Northern Kentucky. It's always been my goal, and it will forever be my goal until I hit that goal. And the reason why I know that we can get there is because I'm a dominant listing agent. And that's when this office came to me and said, "What's the #1 class that you want to teach?" I'm like, above all things is become the best listing agent that you can become, because with listings brings a whole bunch of other things in this world. We're going to talk about it today. So a little bit about me, I already kind of told you that. I am in the top 1% along with our team of realtors in the United States with our stats. Outside of real estate, I rehab homes with my business partner, Brian. So if you ever have any deals here with Christine David are looking for us here, we're going to start doing some rehabbing here as well. And I coach people for free. So not just you all, of course, I'm a KW family, but I coach everyone for free. I don't want $1 back, because I know that if I show them value, they're going to use me as a realtor, and I'll get the commission at the very end. That to me is enough. This is just some of our numbers that we already went over. 18 years, 150 homes. Our goal this year is 60 million. We sell in 3 states, Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana, which were kind of the, you know, right here in some of them, but back in my home in Northern Kentucky, within 15 minutes, you can be in all 3 states. So it only made sense to me once my business started growing to come here to this region, because, you know, I have best friends here. I worked at a casino with Christine David for, I don't know, it was a blink of a minute, probably 10, 12 years, something like that. And when I ended up going back to Northern Kentucky and my business started growing, I knew way before expansion was even a thing. It was not even talked about it. I'm like, somehow I'm gonna get my best friend in business with me. Because what's better than working with your best friends, right? I mean, unless I got a taser them every once. Which I don't have to do because I'm amazing. So here's my husband. He puts all my listings in for me. He runs signs for us as well. I met him in the casino business, so you guys are starting to see a trend here. If you ever want to recruit, because everyone works super well, I can say everyone, but people that we work with then, nights, weekends, like you just lose your life at the casino. And then talking about getting a little bit of that, yeah, we work super hard here, but we're not, you know, grinding in the middle of the night. Well, David's still like me. He's still pulling those 12-hour shifts at the casino. He's a beast. Sandy is my director of operations. She's been with me for 10 years, master's degree in education, and thank God I can't spell anything like that. I'm just putting it all out there. Can't add, can't spell, and it's okay because I still make a lot of money. Royce is my sweet child. So he came to me when he was 16 years old. My husband and his dad went to school together, and Royce always had a vision of being a realtor. And he came to me at 16. I'm like, what do I do with this kid? And when I heard what he wanted to do with his life, it just stuck in my heart. And I said, you know what, come to my house tomorrow. I'm going to start teaching you some scripts. So this is what I did with him. He came into my house for about 3 months and we worked on scripts and dialogue, and then I let him loose. And probably the first 3 days of calls, he called people that he should have been calling. I almost got a $30,000 fine because they told us not to call, and the system that we have, we called them. So it happens. No one's perfect, guys. You got to break stuff to be able to figure out stuff. But Royce today has been on our team. This will be his 10th year with us. Chrissy David just made a move to Georgia, and he sells half the time in Northern Kentucky and half the time in Georgia. Last year, he did 12 million on his own, and he's a baller. He's on the phone 3 to 6 hours a day. Now he's in a new market, and it's incredible to see what he's doing, guys, isn't it? He is setting more appointments in a new market with 41,000 people than what our whole team is doing right now, because he has learned scripts and dialogue like nobody's business. And did he not just tell us that he'll make calls and call the cities the wrong cities? And he's still setting appointments.
That's just, I mean, it doesn't matter what the market's doing. People, you get this out of your head when people say, oh, it's a bad market, it's a challenging market, you're high. You put in the work, it will happen.
Doesn't matter, because when the market's bad, everybody thinks it's bad. I don't.
Yeah.
And my team does it, because we're still going to be making calls and setting the appointments. But he, I love talking about Royce because he's 16 years old, and now he's going to be 26 this year. I've seen him get married. I've seen him have a baby. I've seen him make a ton of money. On average, a year he makes about $175. And that's with our splits and the PW split on top. And he's a $500 million producer, but he's a young kid still. He hasn't even figured it out yet, and he's figured it out, which is awesome. Hoyt and Abby and Shelly have, they're all in Northern Kentucky. Obviously, you guys know David, how handsome he is. And then we got Christy and Wendy, which are here in this office as well. Wendy, we just brought on, she also sells in Kentucky. And then Georgia's been on with us for 3 years. She does outbound calls for us. So she is through, Cyberbacker, which is a Keller Williams back company. So if you guys ever need someone to make calls for you, talk to me about it later. I'll tell you about this company. It's fabulous. And I ended up hiring her because she was actually an intern in Nashville for a year. So her English is actually really, really good. Because one thing that you want to make sure that you do when you connect with people on the phone is make sure that you can understand them, no matter where you're coming from. So she slays them on the phone for us. Now, on average, she'll set about 1 to 2 appointments a day, and that's pretty dang good for not doing the territory here. And then Mackenzie is our marketing director. She's been with us for 3 years, and she does everything behind the scenes. She'll do our videos for us. She runs my TikTok page. Dave was able to sell a property from TikTok for $900,000 this year from one of the people that we picked up out of Colorado. Never even met him. I mean, it's just insane. This girl she lights the world when it comes to marketing. So we have everything that we need on our team to keep growing and expanding. But I just want to remind you guys, I started off as a solo agent, and I didn't know what the frick I was doing. But I went to classes and more classes and family reunion and mega camp, and I had a mentor as a maths coach. Then I went to another coaching program, and today I'm coached by all the big ladies at Keller, the ones that are selling 16 to 2,500 houses a year. Talk about a whole nother room and a whole nother ballgame of learning. So even though I'm selling a lot of homes on my own, I'm still learning at a different level. And I'm just here to tell you guys, anybody can do it. Even someone that got SWATs every day in school that literally can't spell and can't add worth a crap.
You can't spell it all.
I can't, man. And it's okay. It's okay. I'm not perfect. All right. So I love this class, and I want to tell you a little bit of background about this class. I took this class 13 years ago from McKissick. And I kind of put a little bit of my own spin on it with her range and letting me do it. Linda is one of my mentors as well. She flew me and Aaron out to her house in Denton, Texas. And if you guys do not know who Linda is, she is our regional owner along with her husband. And they're fabulous people. They're also our #1 top share earners in all of Keller Williams. And they're multi millionaires, guys, and they do things for this region that people don't even know about. And they're just amazing humans. So she actually wrote this. And then I critiqued a little bit about, to what I am. And when I sat in this class 13, 14 years ago, I didn't have any listings. I had none, normally back then the listing, if I had one, they would sell super quick. So I didn't have inventory. So the class that she taught, I was just paying attention. I thought, this lady definitely knows what she's doing. So you can kind of answer these. You don't have to answer them out loud, but you have to start at a place. Like, there's a reason why you guys are here. I want to make sure that this is a really good class for you, and I should be able to finish up in about an hour. Is there anything that's on your heart or in your mind right now that you came and there's like specific questions that you want to make sure that I answer for you to make sure that this is a 10+ class? And you probably don't even have to, you're just gonna take notes the whole time,
That's right.
just like I did 13 years ago, right? So I didn't know what things.
You know, something that I always struggled with, I was a simulator engineer, now instead of
Yeah.
doing, so rebuild systems, it was always, you know, and this is what I want to do right this time, and that is. And I'm trying to, I mean, I don't know what to do, but I just gotta document, you know, okay, lead, you know, you capture the lead. Then what are the steps to get it all, you know, basically, so
So nurturing steps?
instead of just haphazard all over the place to, it's like, you know, lead capture. It should, to be most effective, it should be the exact, pretty much the same steps every single time.
Yes.
So just kind of curious what you all do, what you do to, you know, what is the process that you all do? And, you know, I'm doing this for that right now. I'm just making notes. It's like, okay, I should do this first, should do this first. I don't know, just kind of, you know, once you get the lead and, you know, they're interested in, and we're focused on listening here, you know,
Well, you're right.
and they want to sell.
Yeah.
They want to sell. What is a good, like, what's your process?
I will talk to you about that for sure. I love that. Thank you for that. Anyone else have anything else that a burning desire to get absolutely covered? All good. This one's actually a really good one because Craig, if you don't have this, then all that low hanging fruit that you went after, it's low hanging fruit to someone else.
Right.
Because you didn't follow up with it, right? How about?
Follow up, yeah, just the follow up.
Okay.
Whatever systems you're using, please.
This is
Yeah.
perfect. Okay. Anything else before we move on? Okay, all good. So I forgot to tell you guys, because I am who I am, I love to give things and I put it on your all's Facebook page. We have 4 gifts. Most of your all's cars are super dirty because it's gross outside. So I got a free car wash for whoever, and I love participation. I love to talk, don't get me wrong, but I love class participation. So I'm gonna give that out today. Has anyone read Down for Money? This is one of my mentors. This is Myra, who actually owns my office now. She's a multimillionaire, started out as a hairdresser and started putting money back in her pocket, multimillionaire now through the Keller Williams systems, which is awesome. The class that I'm gonna teach is off of this book, and this book was wrote back in the 90s, and you'll be able to tell because they still talk about fax machines in here, but it's still legit. And actually, one of my slides still has a fax machine on it because we had to fax something the other day in Florida. Because my guy is that old. I mean, it was hard, let me tell you. And then I got shift for you as well. If you guys don't know, Keller Williams is a publishing company too. We write some of the best books that there is, and this book has got me through 4 shifts already. And every single time I've read this book, I've pulled something else out of it to teach my team and teach myself to be able to navigate the market. So class participation today, so you guys can get some books and a clean car. All right, so we've got this. What did you say?
I said we can't win, she goes for the company.
No, you can win. Class participation, guys. All right, so I'm gonna teach you 2 things today at the very beginning, the difference between an agent and a consultant. The agent does this, and I was this person big time because I am such a talker. And I'm sure I'm not the only I in the class that understands what an ID is. I'm a driver in my business, and I love to overtalk people, unfortunately. I used to assume things. I used to completely sell myself and sell whatever that was right in front of me, that was my listing presentation or whatever. And then I would tell, and then I would end up losing with my clients because I talk too much. That's not good. What you want to do is you want to be a consultant. And you really want to change that vocabulary. You really, when you're in appointments, you don't ever want to say you're an agent or you're a realtor. And this is like one of my biggest pet peeves in business. My husband and I started networking when I got him out of the casino, and I'll never forget this. We sat down at a table with some very upper class people in this wine restaurant that we were at, and I told him ahead of time, I tried to coach him, I said, Aaron, when they ask us what we do for a living, do not say you're a realtor. And he said, why wouldn't I? You are. I was like, there's a million realtors out there. We are way different than what the typical realtor is. And I gave him an elevator speech to use so it would sound so much better and so much more sophisticated. So think about that next time someone asks you what you do. I would not say that you're a realtor. I would say that I'm a consultant that owns my own real estate business that helps people find the dreams of their home or whatever it is. But Realtor, 1 million people got their Realtor license during COVID. 700,000 people already filled out. You guys better than those people. Everybody knows a Realtor. And yes, we do have a real estate license, but you're a lot different. So just think about that paradigm shift. Consultants ask questions. They ask a lot of questions. And then they sit back and listen to what the people are actually saying. And my team will tell you, we take a lot of notes. We want to make sure that we know their names and we know what they're saying. And I've also lost listings because I did not listen enough. And I didn't take the right notes. And I didn't know their kids' names next time that we met. So you guys got to slow down a little bit when you're perfecting your craft. And then we consult. And how you consult is coming into classes all the time. Our office alone last year did 223 classes on everything, just at our office. You all do a ton of classes here, so get into those classes. Do your podcast, go to family reunion, go to mega camp, because those are the things that's gonna set you apart from all other agents out there that just have a real estate license, okay? And then you end up winning with the person because you've taken time and you've actually looked at what they had instead of rushing straight to, sign right here. Let me get that commission, right? So make sure, and you got these slides there too in your packet to make sure that you can go back through and read over these. So we got two sides of the buying process, and we got two sides of the real estate process, the buy side and the sell side. And on the buy side, the greatest thing is when you pick up a buyer or when you're out there prospecting for them, they not only will buy a home from you, but they might buy the listing that you have in the ground, right? And you might be able to pick up another buyer off them if you're doing the things that you should do as a realtor and asking for referrals. Having the buyer side is great, and it's actually the easiest side. Because you don't really have to prospect hard for a buyer, because the buyers are really already out there. But what you have to do is you have to dig a lot of worms to get the sellers. And this is what we really concentrate on a ton in our team, is digging the worms, trying to get as many listings as we possibly can. Because when one sign goes in the ground in the neighborhood that you all sell in, another sign and another sign is supposed to pop up. And that's just statistics from the NAR. So one sign goes in the ground, 2 more people in the neighborhood see that sign go in the ground. They're like, oh snap, I need to get my house listed. So your job is to prospect that area and try to go get some more listings. So not only does that one house that you get, that you've worked hard to get, will you sell that house? So that's one sale. You should actually sell that person that's in that house a home, regardless, even if they're buying here or not. What if they're moving to Florida? You guys know that you can get, on the white pages and go find realtors for them. David and I went to family reunion last year. I've already got 3 referrals from family reunion last year. I think you got 1, didn't you? You got 1. My job my job is when I go to outside of state events is to pay for that event through networking with agents and getting referrals. So you should get multi-transactions through the listing. That's why Gary Keller is so adamant about making sure that this company gets their own leads from their listings. And I might be talking over some of your all's heads, so let me back up, because this is the whole reason why I came to Keller Williams, and it's a big one. I was only in business for 3 years. I was selling about 30-ish properties myself in 3 years. I didn't have an admin. I was doing it all by myself, like most solo agents do, because that's what we do. But I was dying to get phone time there. Phone time at my company that I came from, they would auction off hours for me to sit in a cubicle to take phone calls as people call in. And they gave it to us for free, so I thought it was awesome. I'm like, oh, I'm getting all these free things, it's great. And someone calls in, well, Gary Keller thinks differently. He thinks if you go out and you get a listing tomorrow, shouldn't you be the one getting the telephone call from it, especially when they call into your office? Yes, absolutely you should, because I know if I'm going to go out and procure my listing, the last thing that I want to do is have somebody else sell it. I want to be the dual agent on both sides, or at least get my team to be able to sell it. We sell 48% of our own listings, guys. And it's not just because this is what I practice, it's also because of the marketing that we do. And Keller Williams lets us put our signs in the ground with our phone numbers on it. My old company, that phone number went to 859-472-6000 straight into my other company. And then people like me that took phone time would take those calls. Yeah.
I remember sitting in my office at a previous company, and someone was outside my office door taking phone time. And heard was not listed.
Which is not.
Which is how it works.
Yeah, that's all we did, right?
Listened to them totally botch the call. Until I'm like, wow, and that was a big eye opener
Yeah.
for me. And I was just like, oh yeah, they just called my listening, they could have been the buyer in that agent.
And you could told them everything about that, right? So I did not know, similar to probably Craig at the time, when you get into real estate,
So that's how you did it.
that's just how you did it. That was their model. That was my old company's model. You come in, you take phone time, you start building your book of business. And I was actually taking calls. The number one call that came in was from Jane Ashcraft. She was our biggest agent in Northern Kentucky at the time. So if I took phone calls, they were normally her listings. Well, let's fast forward when I got to Keller Williams. Gary says your lead, or sorry, your listing, your lead. So when the phone rings, you get your own lead. That very first year after putting my admin in place, I went from 30 some units to 60 some units because I sold half of my own houses that year. I'll see what I'm talking about here. Why it's so important to get these listings, multi-transactions. And I never knew, Craig, I never knew that was a bad model. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And part of the reason why I love to recruit to KW is because they truly do believe in that model. When our phone rings in our office, whoever answers it at the front desk, the very first thing they do is go to the MLS, see who the listing agent is, and forwards that call on to us. That's the way real estate really should be done. And unfortunately, most of the companies we sell against still sell our leads to their agents. There's one company in my hometown that sells listing leads for 25%. And they're not even their leads to be selling. It's wicked wild. I don't want to be associated with that. All right, any questions off this here? Everybody kind of understand like why it's so important? All right, these things here, you have them in your packet. I'm not going to read through, but this is the things that we're going to go over and the things that you should know by the time. And the packet, I actually had McKinsey put it together and I wanted them to staple it for you guys to have because this is a really good thing to go back through and coach your people if you ever, get a team together or if you have an agent that comes on that you could go through this because this is just the nuts and the bolts of how you can be so good at the listing side. So here are the most dollar productive, and actually Gary put this in the red book, and it's not just necessary for listings, but this is on the buy side too. And I'm going to throw my own objective in here in just a second. So the number one thing that you should be doing is prospecting. And then the number two thing that you should be doing is presenting. Practice, practice, practice. We had a talk this morning on our team. It's 10,000 hours to master something, to actually be a master at what you do. So if you're a professional guitarist, 10,000 hours or more. If you're Michael Phelps, he didn't just jump in the pool and become an Olympic swimmer. He was actually swimming at night on the weekends when everybody else was out partying to get that 1 second more than everybody else got. He was mastering his craft. For us, you need to be mastering your scripts and your dialogue, regardless if you're calling for buyers or sellers. You need to really, truly practice this listing presentation that you all have to create on your own. Now, you guys are, KW agents, you can go into command and you can get the resource in there for listing presentations. And it's a really good one. That's the one that I started off with. And then as I started learning more, I added my own swing into it. Everybody pretty much know where to get a listing presentation that's in here or create your own. Okay. And then once you master that, you have to learn how to negotiate and then sell. And then the most important thing they say is presenting, but Christy's gonna tell you that's not what I think. I think it's getting a lead first. I'm gonna say it's presenting because of what I'm teaching here, but in my heart, if you don't have a lead, how the heck are you ever gonna know how to present? So I'm gonna toggle back and forth on that. And this is a good way to look at it. I'll let you guys read through this and let this sink in. If you get really, 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 really good at what you do, you're not gonna have to go on 3 appointments and only get 1 listing. My job is to go on as many appointments as I'm gonna go on, and I wanna get them all. I mean, I'm not selfish, but why am I gonna go on a listing and let somebody else take my listing? Because it's my listing. It's already in my head that I'm getting this sucker. What do you all see out of that? What's your aha when you look at these numbers right here? Less time efficiency. Time efficiency, big time. And you only have so many hours in the day, right? I mean, I'd much rather go on one appointment today and get it than 3 appointments and only get one. And then you all see the difference, and this is just one off the $5,000 commission, that's just baseline. The difference in between here is 300,000, and then just efficiency, like you had said, this tells you that you're a master when you can go on one and slay one. I'm not perfect, guys. I don't get all of my listings. No one does. But what you really need to understand is there's a lot to listings. And before you walk in that door, you want to make sure that everything that you have studied is the right thing to make sure that you can become a master at it. Because the last thing I want to do is go on 10 appointments and get one. That doesn't sound fun to anybody, does it? I mean, that, first of all, it's gonna beat you down. You're gonna get probably out of real estate. You all know that our attrition in real estate is really, really high anyway. And this company is the #1 coaching company in the world for a reason. It's because we train all the time. So when you see those training classes, get into them. And this is the greatest thing. They don't even have to be here at your office. We've got 7,000 pages on the intranet through command that you can hop on any day, anytime. And then YouTube's huge. There's a lot of great information out there, especially a lot of information on the listing part. So any ahas here before I go through? We all know that we need to practice and practice and practice. I was telling Shelley today, she's a agent that's on our team. She was a dealer at the casino. I know, I get a lot of people at the
You have a
casino.
type, you have a
I
type.
got the time, because I think we all work hard, but I told her, I said, Shelley, when you got your license, to become a dealer at the casino, were you perfect? Did you know how to cut checks and did you know how to pay out the fees, right? She's like, no. And I know factually, because my husband was a dealer, it was 6 months, 8 hours a day for 6 months before they let them go on a live table. Have you all put in 6 months, 8 hours a day on your listing presentations or your cold calls or anything that this company's taught you how to do? It's hard to do it. It's really, really hard. But if you want to be a master at what you're doing, pick that one thing and then master it. And then after you master it, pick that other thing and then master it.
Especially on something that can yield as much income as real estate.
Great.
We just don't sit down and, you know, because we wear 2 hats. We're the owner of the company, or the business,
Right.
your business, and you're also the employee. So unless you can make yourself do it, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I will tell you, thank you for bringing that up, because you know,
So that's what I'm trying to do, like, as I'm stepping back in, it's like, okay, this is different.
right,
Because now I know, now it's like the accountable, how do I make myself accountable
That's the goal.
to doing those things?
right.
And that's where, you know, it's figuring that out. That's the,
The biggest thing that I can tell you just with your conversation that you're having with yourself in your brain is consistency. It's
Yeah.
really getting super consistent on those, going back to this one right here. No, wait a second, the one that just said, oh heck, I don't know where it is, but where you have to practice, you have to figure out where you're practicing in, because practice doesn't matter if you're not lead generating consistently, right? Because you're not gonna get the business. So we'll definitely talk about that. I love that. So this question here, I love it. I was taught in literally the very first class that I took at Keller, and I was actually taught this differently at my other office. I was always told to not go in first, to go in last. And I thought, again, there's so many different ways to do real estate. I'm just teaching you what's definitely worked for me. I will tell you, if I'm on a listing call and they're saying, hey, come out to my house and I'm gonna interview X, Y, Z, and even if they don't say that, I'm asking as well, like, am I doing any competition with anyone? Just wanna make sure that I have, you know, everything presentable for you. And they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna meet with 2 or 3 people. And I say, would you mind if I could be the first person in? When's your appointment already set? And no matter when they are, I'll say, can you put me in at the very beginning? It's really important because I want to show you my value. And the reason why I want to is because nobody's as good as me. If they sit through 3 other people, I don't want them to sit through 3 other people because someone's gonna like have it right away. But they're not gonna be able to see the value that I have if they listen to someone before me. Does that make sense? And I bring a lot of value to the table for my listings. But if I don't get to present it, then they never know. So I did a really big mind shift change when I came to my other company to over here, because I was definitely taught to be the last one in. I don't know, I didn't have any listings. Because I wasn't even able to get in the door to try to get the contract signed. So I always, when I'm studying my listing presentations, in front of people, there's two things that I do. One, I try to get in first, and two, I really rather never go to a listing if both of the people aren't there. I want to talk to everyone that's on that deed at the same time, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to first have to sell myself twice. And I don't want the spouse trying to sell who I am because they barely know me. They only met me for an hour and they're going to literally destroy everything that I just created. There's no way that they can talk the language of real estate like I can. So I definitely want those two things to happen. So there's two questions I ask. Can I please come to your house tonight, or whatever that conversation looks like first? And then secondly, will both of the people be there that are on the deed? Because I really need to make sure that I'm talking to whomever is in charge. And then we'll teach you a couple things here that I've used in the past too. Talking about the listing presentation itself, these here, I love these. So you guys can read through these. So you read, you lecture, you discuss, then you participate. This is actually how I coach a lot of people. You read it first, and then you lecture about it, and then we all discuss it, right? This is your listing presentation, then you participate. Gary says the way that you learn things the best is to do it yourself, teach someone else to do it, have the person do it, and you guys do it together as a team before you let them go out and do the listing presentation. So you all do it together as a group. And I really would think that you guys should do a study in here after we finish up. Maybe not today, but get back together and practice your tricks back and forth. Then you role play, and I love role playing, and I love to do it with our team. Then your experience comes through, and then you practice even more. And now number 10, you teach it. That's what I'm doing. I love to teach and coach every single thing that I've learned with this company in the last 15 years because I'm a master at most of what I do. I mean, I've flipped 100 properties before, I own a couple of businesses, I know how to sell 100 homes by myself a year, and I didn't learn that by accident. It was a lot of training, it was a lot of studying. It's 6 hours on the phone a day, my team will still tell you how to do it this very day, so Craig will talk a little bit about that. But now I'm on the mastery part of what I do, and it's trying to give you guys as much as me as I can, but it's not me that's talking, it's all my coaches that I've had in the past that make me who I am today, and the hours that I put in to make sure that when I get to that listing, I'm crushing it. I'm not just walking in not prepared. I am prepared. I start preparing 3 days before a listing presentation. I make sure that I have it all in line, because the last thing you want to do is walk through the door and not be prepared, right? Because then you're gonna lose, 100% lose. All right, how does someone win with you? There's some questions that I've been taught over the years, and this is a question not just to ask yourself, but to also ask your clients as well. And this is on the buy side too. So how does someone win with me? How did someone lose with me? And you guys, I use this in when I actually bring people onto the team. Maybe not so much with YouTube because I already knew YouTube way too well, right? But when I'm interviewing someone like with Wendy that we just brought on, that's part of your all's office now, I ask her, how can I train you the best way? How can I win with you? Because if you don't sync up with the people that you're working with, you're not going to get the buy side. And now you have to make sure that it's synced with buy side, right? But you ask them these questions. What do you feel? What do you feel you have the right to expect from me as your real estate consultant, not agent? And what do you feel I have the right to expect from you as my client? Have you ever asked that to your clients? Right? Because you guys want to get on the same playing field. You are the consultant. But they know their house better than you. They know their neighbors better than you. They know that for sale by owner that's sold that you probably don't know about. David, you just heard me take that call in the office. Did he not just tell me that something sold out on the MLS? And I normally would always ask, like, what do you know about this area that I don't know? Because I can only pull so much data, and you guys know that. If it's not on the multiple listing service, we're not going to know if for sale by owner sold in your area. So before I walk into a listing presentation, I'm asking them, what do you know about this area that I need to know? And if they don't understand that, then I get a little bit more specific. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I cannot pull the data on for sale by owners. Did you see any signs this past year, or a friend or someone sell that might not be listed in the multiple listing service? And that's how you find out more intel. Because the last thing you want to do is go to a listing presentation, throw your comps out on the table and say, you guys look at these 3 and this is the one that I think is most to your home. And then immediately they say, well, Joe sold his house 2 doors down for $400,000. Why are you telling me mine's worth $350,000? I don't even know before you walk through the door, right? Yeah. So, and then there's some questions in here that's in your packet too that you can ask. So here's your pre-listing presentation. and we'll talk about pre-listings right now. Don't laugh at this, because I literally just had this happen. I do have 2 clients that live in Florida that literally use fax machines, which is insane, but they do. And the title companies still have fax machines. If you guys do not know that, they actually do as well. So these are some questions that you can ask, and it's a good little basis to go by. This is actually in, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book as well, and whoever ends up getting this mastery presentation book, they're all in there too, but you guys have a copy of them. So this is just good to know before you actually walk into a house. Normally, what Voice does, which I love, is he will send them, well, I can't say I love it, I kind of like it. You guys know the MLS, right? I don't love everything, but inside of the MLS, and some of you guys might not know this if you haven't got this far in your business yet, when you're putting the data in for your listings, you know how it's all broken down for bedrooms, baths, square footage? You can print those pages out and you can actually send them to your clients to fill out some of that intel for you before you get there, if you have a pre-listing packet. So I have a pre-listing packet, which we really don't use that much, but you can. It'll have your resume in it, and then it'll have these questions that you're actually asking, right? You're not sending these questions to them, you're asking these questions. Unless you created your own presentation and it has like fill in the blanks. But you can get like, what kind of water heater do you have? Do you have a septic? Because I'm telling you right now, if you don't know the difference in between septic and having public sewer, you better go find out, because there's been a lot of houses sold for a lot of new agents that do not know those specific questions. So you can walk through here, and then you definitely want to get all this information, because when you end up going into the house, how much more prepared are you than the other 2 people that is going through the door as well? I mean, you're already showing consultant here all day long instead of realtor.
Jennifer.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, no,
Okay. I think there's, so that Israel, that was supposed to be Israel.
Oh, what you put on there? Mackenzie probably got something on there.
Yes, ESBO. I'm like, what the fuck is
Okay,
that?
she's a marketer. She doesn't know the difference between FISBO and whatever she put on there. I gotta look at it now.
If you go back, yeah,
Number 9, on the right side.
9.
Are you considering going?
Bring your own beer. That's what that is. Bring stale beer to the appointment. I don't know. That's hilarious. I will have her fix that. That's fine.
Jennifer, I, just for you, new agents, whoever, I always ask, have you done any updating to the home? How would you rate your home 1 to 10? And they always say 7 or 8, and then I say, what would make it a 10? So then when I walk in and they say, well, my bathroom needs updating, I can say, well, you know, your bathroom is updated, you might be able to get a little bit more, and I'm not,
Yeah.
like, they've given me permission to say that, so I think that's.
Mhm. And I love that
But
too.
I do this whole thing, but I think just kind of asking, what don't you like about your house, and then,
Yeah.
you know.
And I will,
I
I actually use that question, probably, I don't go off this anymore, just because they're all here in my head, but that is my number 1 question, and I ask, similar to that. If I was going to put you on HGTV,
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10, where would your house rank?
Yeah.
HGTV 10 being the best of the best, where you don't have to do anything to it, because everyone watches HGTV, the majority of people do. But yeah, you're getting a sense of really what they feel. Because sometimes you walk into a house and they say it's an 8 and it's like a 2, and you're like, oh man, we got some critiquing to do here, and you actually understand how they really think the real estate market is, right? Yeah, so thank you, and Christy, help me make note of that, to get Mackenzie to switch that, that's hilarious. All right, the pre-listing script, so let's talk about the pre-listing packet just for a second, because it doesn't go over it too much. Some agents do 1-step listings where they just go into the house, they present, sometimes they get, you know, the paperwork signed right then and there. I do both. Sometimes I do my pre-listing packet where I don't know the people. My business now in Northern Kentucky, I'm so freaking blessed that most of them are home listings at this point. My name is so prominent there that I don't have to fight for listings like I used to, but when I had to before, I would have my resume together, and the very first thing I put on there was what stood out. 13 years perfect attendance, and I take that same drive, and I say this all the time, that same drive and enthusiasm, and I put it into my business today. I'm never going to show up late. I'm always going to have the best communication with you. That's number 1 line. So figure out what your unique proposition is and who you are. And I like to use data because it's better. I like 100% put that on there because we don't, I mean, that is just a stellar thing to make, that's who you are. And people connect with that. So that would be like line item number 1 to me if I was David. So pre-listing packet is just 3 things for me: my resume, And then, the list of questions on there, however you guys wanna do it, Roy's uses that, the packet from the MLS and just has them fill it out. It's kind of like their homework. The homework that they need to do, because you all know if you walk into the door and they've done their homework, you're more than most likely going to get that listing, and you're going from an agent to a consultant because you're doing a free packet for them. And this is what makes it really different. If you deliver it to the door 24 hours prior to the actual, appointment, so you get to meet them real quick. And a lot of people, you can't do that because our region is so big, maybe you just email it over. So you can do it a couple of different ways. But here's your clients, can I please come out and, the potential client, can I come out and talk to you about listing your home? The suggested response should be, it would be my pleasure to visit with you about your needs in the sale of your home before we set an appointment today. May I ask you a couple questions? If you remember back to the questions that was in your all's packet, so you can get a clear understanding. And I don't think that the one line item is on there, what do you know about your neighborhood that I need to know? And then if they don't understand that question, just say, do you know anyone that might have sold as a for sale by owner or sold to a family member? Because that's data that we need to know. And today, right before this class, when I was setting the listing appointment, he literally told me he personally sold land for $12,000 an acre. Well, I went back a year and a half and I couldn't find any sales within a few miles from where I needed to be. And that's great intel. And that's at the clerk's office. So when we get someone to buy that property, if it's not a cash deal, I have that comp. It's part of that farm. It is going to be the comp that helps me get $12,000 an acre. I would have never known that because it wasn't on the MLS. So good question to put in your all's arsenal. This is what we were just talking about. So step 3, deliver the packet, and this is before time. This is going to set you guys up differently from an agent to a consultant. They can either hand deliver it or you can email it, whatever's best for you. I actually went through a class and I love this because a lot of us, most of us are small business owners, and most of us have a heart to help other small business owners. In my area, I have a girl that makes handmade soaps, and her soap company is called Kentucky Bluegrass Soaps of Northern Kentucky. So every time that I go to anyone's house, I'm just taking them a little soap. It's like $3. And in my Airbnbs, I bought everyone that comes to my Airbnbs, I have the soap for them because it's just a little nice touch and it helps her business grow as well. So in my packets, when I used to, I would use her soaps and I would deliver, either ahead of time or at least the first time that I'm walking through the door. Because yeah, it doesn't really show that much value, guys. It's $2.50, but it's a nice gesture. And it's something that they'll probably remember. And it sets you apart from the agent and the consultant because it actually shows that you have a heart and you're there with a generous spirit. So you get to this part and then it sets you apart from your competition. It leverages your time because they already have hopefully the homework filled out. It addresses the objections that are in there. And then hopefully, if you do it the right way, you'll seem very, very professional. And then if you have, this is for people in metro cities, because she actually taught in like LA and stuff. Most of them have the delivery services because the traffic is so bad. It's not here. So you guys don't have to worry about that. And then you want to ask these questions. And I've actually done this before. I always make sure that both of the sellers are there. I've been humped by so many dogs, guys. So I asked them literally, do you have pets that are going to be at this meeting? I need to know because I want to know ahead of time. I love animals, but the last thing that I want to do is be presenting to clients and their kids are screaming and their dog's on my leg, and it's all happened to me. It's all I got a kid on before and I had this presentation, and they just kept going like this, no big deal. I'm like,
Bit by dog,
you got bit by?
a big dog.
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, we can put that in our resume too. That's crazy. But when you are getting ready to set these appointments, I don't want you guys to go in blindsided. Know what's going to happen, right? Know when you knock on that door, if there's a big dog behind the door, go ahead and ask these questions ahead of time. Can I bring treats for the dog? You're not going to ask them. You're just going to have them, right? And then if the dog keeps sniffing, you say, you know what, I got a couple treats up here, and give them to the seller. Keep that dog away from you because this is their biggest asset in their life. And if their kids are screaming and their dog's trying to look good, they're not paying attention to you. So you want to make sure that you're in a good spot. And listen, I'm just being honest with you guys. I've done thousands of listing presentations and they all went all kinds of different ways. But this here says, we don't do videos anymore. Every kid has an iPad. But, you know, would you mind just setting the movie to the side so I can make sure that I have 100% of you? Because this is your biggest asset. And you know, most of these people have never been talked to like that. Most people buy a house, but they don't really truly realize that is the biggest purchase that they're ever gonna make in their life. And when you talk to them that way, they realize that this appointment is gonna be a lot different for you than it is the other 2 or 3 agents that's coming through the door.
It only makes you look more professional.
Absolutely.
You're like setting the stage and making sure
Absolutely.
how.
And it's your business,
Yeah,
right? It's your time, right? And as you grow in this business, you're gonna have way less time. So you're gonna get hyper focused on the things that are really important during these presentations. Confirm the appointment. There is never a time that I am driving to someone's house unless I confirm that appointment. David, you heard me today. I said, I'm gonna call you on Monday before I head out that way to let you know that I'm heading your way. He's got really bad health. So it could be that I might not be able to make it on Monday. So I wanna make sure that we're confirming all appointments, and then there's some scripts underneath of it.
that's a learning for the kind of.
Done it, right?
So,
And as a matter of fact, I think one of our agents in Northern Kentucky, the guy didn't answer, and this was a couple weeks ago, and she called me, she said, what should I do? I said, you know what? You're brand new at business, drive out there anyway. Take a card, go ahead and write a handwritten card, and if he doesn't answer the door, leave it on the door. The guy was inside, he never came to the door, but she made the attempt, she left the card with Kelly. She left the card in the slide of the door, and he still is not called, but she made that extra attempt. And the seeds are planted, and we're still, right, we'll get to consistency on how we make sure that we're following up with that person, because he's not saying no, he's just saying no right now. Whatever has happened, we have no idea. It's one thing that we cannot do in real estate, we can't assume it, right?
So
So,
don't you find that you'll assume, I find that I assume it's my fault.
she is taking it.
You know, but and then you find out it happens to you so many times, and then it's like, oh, their dog died, or like, it's just, it's something that you never thought it was.
Yeah,
Some way I would say is, there's never a bad lead, it's just not right now.
yeah, it's just not, and
I had a
you
guy
gotta,
that-
both that are years out, right? We just don't know.
I had a guy that had a motorcycle wreck on the way, I mean, it was out Crawford County, and I got out to Crawford County, and I'm like, I confirmed and here, and then, like, saw on Facebook after I sat there for an hour, that I'm like, oh, okay, wait.
And I appreciate you bringing that up, because when I was at my other company, and they were kind of teaching me not to pound so hard and just like give grace to people that don't show up for appointments. My broker was in a really big commercial deal and millions of dollars, and the guy would not answer the phone on the other side. And he was walking me through like what had actually happened, and he was getting heated, and it was like big deal. The guy had a heart attack and he was in the hospital. That's why he wasn't answering his phone.
You don't know.
Gotta give a grace. You never know what's happening on the other side.
Grace and space, grace and space.
Absolutely, and the bigger thing is to keep that pipeline full, and when they pop back up, we'll be like, yeah, water that flower, we'll be here, and here it came. So this is what I was kind of telling you guys about practicing. Even for this class, I practiced on the way here, I practiced as soon as Mackenzie got the slide down, I practiced to put this slide together for you, and I practiced the many times that I've done this class without this presentation and spelling words wrong. Okay, so you practice, and you get really good at what you do. One thing that I think is super important, and I never took my phone into listing presentations ever. It stays in my car, because my phone goes off like Fort Knox, and the last thing that I want my clients to think is they're not important. So this is what happens at my listing presentations. If I'm getting the appointment, and I'm definitely, or I got the appointment, and I'm gonna get them to sign right then and there. I said, can I excuse myself, because I want to go ahead and set up the photographer, can I run out and get my phone? And most people will always carry their phone in to every appointment, because it's almost like attached to our body now. I would, if I can teach you anything, put the phone away for every appointment, every buyer appointment, every seller appointment. We've got an agent in my office, she's one of the biggest agents for me. I have literally watched her walk into buyers consoles, or listing, both buyers and sellers, but on the listing console, 30 minutes late, I stayed late and just was chatting with her. She walked in on her phone. And she sells about 50 or 60 million a year in real estate. I never treat my clients like that, guys. Never, ever do it. So put your phones away. You don't need them until you ask them, you need to set the appointment with your photographer or whatever. So just get rid of the distractions. Step number 6, which sometimes is step number 1 for a lot of people. So this is just kind of walking through a baseline. You guys can do this any way you want, but walking through the kitchen, are walking into the property, and this is something that I learned at one of, I think it was May camp the very first time, you knock on the door, you take 3 steps back, you're never up in their business right here, knock on the door, take a couple steps back, let them come to the door, you got your articles in your hand, whatever you have them invite them to the property, always take off your shoes. Or make the attempt to take off your shoes, because if you attempt to take off your shoes, they're gonna let you know if you should keep your shoes on or not. A lot of people are okay with that, and that's completely fine too. And make sure if you're not taking off your shoes, don't have those shoes on, it's okay, just use your common sense. And then you ask them, hey, would it be okay if I just sat down myself at the kitchen table? Now, if you're walking into a big home, probably don't have a kitchen table, you're gonna have to carry your thing with you, but just think that you're in a regular home. Then I do 1 or 2 things, and it really depends on how I'm connecting with people. If I know that they are chatty Cathy's and I'm gonna be there for 2.5 hours, and you really want your presentation to be 45 minutes to an hour, and you don't wanna overextend your visit. I say, would you mind if I just browse through your house really quick as a buyer, and with buyer's eyes, I'll be in and out real quick, because we all know what a house looks like, guys, we know. But if they walk us through the property and they're talking a lot, and we already know that ahead of time, because this is kind of going off course, but the DISC profile will tell you if they're gonna talk your ears off, the D, I, C, and S. If they're C and S profiles, they're really not gonna talk too much. They want the facts when you sit down and you start negotiating with them, but the high IDs like yourself, I'm gonna show you everything. I'm gonna show you my tank, water heater, this, and all of it. I can read through your house real quick and make some notes, and then get back to business. So there's 2 ways you can do it: set the stuff down, let them take you through however you feel comfortable. But my time's limited. I'm really wanting to go through the house myself. Like, I want to get in and get to these numbers, because the most important thing to them normally is making that move as soon as possible. So you can kind of go through this. I'm all about building rapport with people. I'm trying to build rapport prior to even getting into their house, and you build a rapport is the FORD, the FORD, that's about their family, their occupation, their is it recreation? Yeah, recreation, sorry, what they want to do in their dreams. So I just, like, if I see something in their house that just resonates with me, be like, oh my gosh, that's a nice picture. Like, they just put up some pictures of Colorado for their birthday segment. Those are freaking awesome.
I do that too much.
Yeah.
Just every room, I'm like,
Well, maybe you need to not be walking through the house with people, just walk through it by yourself,
I think when you walk through by yourself too, you almost have a more discerning eye, like you're not distracted
Well,
by.
because they're showing you what they
Relationship
want.
with them, and
Yes, and I've been taught this both ways. I've been through so many training classes, it could go either way. I think you just need to figure out who you are and what works best for you, and I'll do both of them this day. If I feel that I can run through the house and it's just a cookie cutter house, I'm gonna run through it. And then I'm gonna say, you tell me, like, Deborah said, tell me the things that are the things that you've updated, which I'm gonna ask them that question ahead of time too. But my biggest thing is making sure that whatever they think is important in their house, I either see it or write it down when they're telling me about it. So you guys can kind of read through this. The biggest thing that's not on here, what are you?
You just called me down.
Oh, see, I even call people the wrong name too.
Is that your alter ego name?
That's my evil twin.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Michelle's the triple.
Well, you know what? We have a Deborah Dixon literally in our market. And
Yeah, no,
I guess that just went on my mind. So I
You're good.
apologize. The other thing that I do.
yeah.
Did I say wrong?
No.
She didn't even know that you were referring to her.
So the other thing I do is most of the dining room tables, right, or rectangle, right? I try to sit both people side by side, and I try to sit here because I like to know body language. I want to see how they're communicating, and this is the thing. If you sit here and you set them here, they're looking at each other. They're not necessarily looking at you. I want the eyes on me at all times. For many reasons. And that again was something that Linda McKissick taught me. I want the body language to have an afro look. I want the truth to come out when I'm at the table. And if I set both of them beside each other and I can have eye contact with them at both times and ask those critical questions that I need to ask, they're getting done right then and there. They're not gonna be able to kind of shoot me out the door because they got body language going on that I don't know about. I could see them both at the same time. So I would highly recommend you guys do that when you go into your meetings. And then you never pick a chair, ever pick a chair. You ask them, where would you like me to sit? A lot of older people have their own chairs. You always want to be asked. You want to be asked to come in the door. you want to be asked to where you should sit at as well. And most of the time you say, oh, it doesn't matter, just sit wherever, but you still ask the question, right? Here are some scripts that just kind of take you through, once you're at the kitchen table and you feel confident and you're the professional, then you kind of go through all of these. At the end of the night, I love this because this literally sets the tone for why you're here. At the end of the night, there are 3 things that will happen. First, you may list your home with me, and that would be great. Second, you may not list your home with me, and to be honest, that wouldn't be so great for me. Or third, I may be unable to take your listing. Would that be a fair assessment? And does that sound all right to you? And the very thing that they're gonna say next is, why wouldn't you take my listing? And then you can tell them, because all houses are different. Maybe they told you that they think it's worth 500,000 because Bobby down the street sold their house. Their expectations are too high. The last thing that I want to do is overpromise and underdeliver. That is not who I am. I'm going into that listing, I'm gonna list it at fair market value, because I know that's where it's gonna sell at. And being a new agent, sometimes you want to just get that listing so bad, it's not gonna be worth your time or effort, because you're never gonna be able to sell it anyway. So does that sound okay with you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? And just let them talk,
But it just, one of my own listing I have at the moment, it's a commercial listing, but it was very stressful, the whole process, and we kept it off market, just was gonna tell people about it, try to bring a buyer until after the election and then get through the year. But anyways, they were overpriced, wanted to be at 1.5 million. And then, I was just like, it's just too much, and then it's already stressful. So I texted him and said, hey, can we talk tonight? Is there a time? And he said, yeah. I said, by the way, what we're gonna be talking about is I'm gonna have to decline taking the listing. That's what we're talking about. So I literally told him I wasn't gonna take this listing.
Get lost.
Yeah, because it was already costing me stress.
And it's gonna cost you more.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. Yeah, and he's like, oh, Craig, he goes, we definitely need to talk. And we had a very real conversation. And I just said, listen, I just don't think I can meet your all's expectations. I think you're out of line on price. So then they dropped it $350,000.
A little bit closer.
Yeah, to where I'm comfortable. I feel it's doable.
Yeah.
It's still at the top tier, but the right commercial.
You can work with
property,
them a little bit.
it work, yeah. But
Yeah. Well, it's okay to tell people that you're not gonna work with them. It's okay. This is your own business. And at the end of the day, the last thing you wanna do is take on something into your portfolio of listings that is gonna stress you out. Because stress means that you're not gonna do a great job for them, and it's going to bleed into your other clients as well. Stress causes more stress for everybody. So kudos to you for being able to do that. The call that I took earlier today, Craig, I've been working on and off with this guy. He's had really bad health issues for 6 or 7 years. And he quoted me $12,000 6-7 years ago on this particular piece of land. He was not working with him. 6-7 years go by, and I had a conversation with him yesterday, and he was like, 12,000. He doesn't remember talking to me, but I've talked to him for years. Again, he's getting older to remember everything. And I comped it this time. My best comp was 11.5. That's how much our market has grown in Dry Ridge. And I was able to go back to him today and said, I couldn't find many comps, but I did find one that was within a mile of you. And then he was able to tell me about the one that he sold. So now I have 2 good ones. But my conversation with him years ago, I could not list it. And I told him I couldn't list it. I told his daughter that I couldn't list it because I would have never been able to sell it. And I would have just sat there and been stagnant. And I don't really necessarily care about my numbers of not being able to sell. I care about my people. I don't, because I knew if I put it on the market, then you probably never listed me anything in the past, right? Because I was gonna let him down and probably not necessarily lie to him. I would told him the truth, like the comps don't support it. It's just not there. And at least I was doing the right thing, right? All right, any questions about this at all? This is a good one. You guys really should practice this one to make sure that you're asking these questions. Then you want to explain the difference. Now, this is going back to our very first slide. And I brought that first slide up because I think that this language is super important. A lot of you guys have heard the language of real estate, like the language of real estate over and over again. This is part of the language of real estate that takes us out of the agent role and into the consultant role. It's really, really crazy when you guys start studying numbers in real estate. The 80-20 rule is a legit thing. If you have 100 agents, 20 of us are doing the majority of the work. And it's the same in this office, same as my office in Northern Kentucky. And if you look at all the realtors in all the world, 20% of us are doing the main amount of deals. You wanna be in the 20% club, guys. You don't wanna be in the 80% club. You wanna be the ones making money in this business and not just dabbling in this business, and this is how you do it. You ask questions, then you listen, and you consult, and you learn, and you're in classes all the time. Maybe not as much as me, because I am ridiculous. I mean, $324,000 is what I spent on my own education. I've been coached by the best of the best, and I'm never gonna quit. My mom called me the other day, I was on my way to Florence, and she's like, "What are you doing, Jen?" I was like, "I'm on my way to a coaching, or I'm on my way home to get on my coaching call." And I heard her sigh. She went, "When is enough coaching?" And I'm thinking, this is my mom saying this, the first person that I ever knew to coach me first. I was like, "Mom, it's never gonna be enough." You know, I got goals in this world, and I'm not done yet. I'm still pretty young, so I'm like, yeah. I'm still. No, I didn't. But I did, I mean, she knows what I think she's just like, relax, right? Because I just don't relax too often. So number 8 is explaining the difference. So we've already kind of went through this, and here's your script, and you have it in your book, the difference in between an agent and a consultant. I think you guys really need to change your language, and I'm not gonna beat that horse anymore, so you know that. The 9th step is now uncovering what sellers need. Most of the time, you're gonna get this on that pre-listing call. Sometimes you're not gonna get it on the pre-listing call. The husband is in California and he's not here in your region right now. You gotta wait for him to fly in. He might not have everything that you need, and that's okay. Not all of these are gonna be perfect. But then you can go back through the questions again. Have it on your sheet. We're gonna get more into the down and dirty. I just want to get through this real quick. Number 10, prioritizing. Not every single seller is ready right now. Some are ready in 2 months. Sometimes when you walk through their house, they're hoarders. It took me 1 solid year to get rid of 1 million. And when I say 1 million, I didn't know the count. The professors knew the count. They were professors at Cincinnati University. They had 1 million books in their house, and it was a 3-year-old house. They had triplets, and I'm not kidding you. When I walked through their house, it was books everywhere, and no one takes books anymore. This is probably 8 years ago. They were ready to list, and I was like, we cannot list your house like this. Like, no one could even see how beautiful your home is. So I worked with them. We worked with companies across seas. They did not want to burn books because no one would take them here in the United States, because believe it or not, a lot of people don't read books anymore. So they shipped them across seas to other countries, and it took them a year to get rid of everything. And that, some agents would have went in and listed their property, and they would have never sold their property. And I was on a scale of 1 to 10. This is my number 1 question that I ask everyone: how honest can I be with you all? And everyone's gonna say honest. You know, they don't want you to lie to them, of course. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, how honest can I be with you? And I just took a deep breath, and they're like, super honest. They needed to get moved. They had 3 triplets. They were in soccer. Or they had triplets, and 3 of them, of course. 3 of them, not they didn't have a backyard. And these kids were playing soccer, and they wanted to be collegiate players. And it just wasn't gonna work in this house. So a year later, they got rid of all the books, and we were in Loveland, Ohio. If you guys know anything about Ohio, Loveland is like one of the best areas there. We sold their house within 24 hours. That would have never happened if I wasn't consulting with them, and if I would have just went in and got the listing. They would have never sold their house. It was a beautiful home, but all you saw was books. And the books is not good, because they had so many from so many years. And every single book that they had in here, just no kidding, they read all of them. All of them. Like, that's a lot of books to read. So you want to go through and you want to make sure what's the most important to them. I've got a property right now in Northern Kentucky. It's been bought and sold a couple of times, and I actually went back and called a couple of the other sellers to get things that they had done, because my current sellers didn't know about all the other things. So I reached out to the other agent, and like, hey, you have your seller's disclosure from there to get the agents and stuff, because the more you know, education is power, guys. And if you can go into the listing presentation knowing more than what your sellers know, that brings major value to the table. And not always can you do that, but sometimes on your very unique properties, you might want to do that. Great. What, here are just questions to ask. What's the most important thing to you? So if you got the home sold quickly and you were disappointed with the communication, would you be okay with that? Of course, they wouldn't be okay with that. If you're going sideways, if you're going into a listing presentation that isn't expired, the very first thing that you want to do is tell me about your experience, because you want to know how the other agent failed and how you can make sure that you never do that. And most of the time, you guys aren't going to do that, but it's important to hear the process of how that house didn't sell the first time. And my favorite script when you're calling that is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, sometimes, you know, the best houses don't sell the first time. That's when you're actually on the phone making those, but you can say it again when you're actually at the table. Because you want them to feel good about their product, their home, right? And you really do need to know everything about the prior agent, so you can be the better agent this time. Find out their value criteria. This just kind of goes through what we were just talking about then. And then at the end, same thing that I asked you guys at the beginning. I don't want to waste your all's time when I'm coaching you guys. I want to know like what's important to you. And before you walk out of this class, I want to bring value to you. And if somebody has a desire of what they need to know, like Craig, we'll go over this in a second. Craig, by the time he walks out of here, is going to know exactly what we do because that was important to him. Your sellers have things that are important to them, but if you don't ask, how are you going to know? What are you doing? You're assuming.
I learned that from this class, every listening one that I've been going on, just recently I asked that question.
What's important?
I say, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, well, this is kind of what I learned from Linda, but hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, for our time to be very useful for you tonight. 10 meaning that it was a great appointment, for you to say, hey, that was a great appointment with Craig tonight, what has to happen? And what are the most important things?
Well, that's exactly what we need to cover to make sure that this is a 10 plus
Yeah.
experience.
See, I need to work on my script.
But it's in there. It's important. So, great, let's see how we can create a 10 plus experience for you all. It's important, these guys are taking time out of their life to meet, not just with you, but several people. So you want to make sure that you bring the heat and the value when you meet these people. And it's important, it's not about you. It's never about us. It's all about them and what they need. So let's talk a little bit about any ahas, any questions that you have. Next thing is going to be the scripts. So we'll open that up. So these are objection handlers. We're not going to go through all of these, but one thing that I have really learned being a dominant high I, today I was just doing it again, my guys. You know, he's probably about 85 years old. I had to relax because I'm not good at relaxing. I mean, I'm on 24/7, you know, all the time. I'm in my business super quick, but he was talking very slow. So I had to talk very slow. I have to meet my people where they're at.
Meet their energy.
Meet their energy, right? Make sure that you are communicating the way that they're communicating, because if you're overstepping them, they're going to not want to work with you. So mirror and match is what they teach us in Bold. If you guys have ever taken Bold before, mirror, I've taken it 13 times. But you learn how to talk to people, and you learn how to really understand who they are, and you want to chameleon. You want to do exactly what they're doing. If they're doing hand gestures, you want to do hand gestures. If they're talking super fast, you want to kind of not talk so slow. So you want to match them where they're at. It's always really good if you don't know the answer to something, repeat their question. You know, like whatever they ask, just repeat it. And even if you don't know the answer, do not grab for it. Do not. You say, you know what, that's a good answer. I do not have, or that's a good question. I don't have an answer for you right now, but I can get it for you. Jot it down. And when you say you're going to do something, you do it, because they're waiting. And they're critiquing you even when you walk out the door. So if you get that answer for them, you call them back and say, you know what, Joe, you were asking me this question. I went and found the answer for you. Here it is, as promised. Remind them, you know, that you were doing your due diligence to make sure you met their criteria, what they needed. Stay logical, don't get attached to the outcome. This is really hard for most of us agents, because as we were talking, we feel that it's your fault if you let them down or if you didn't get the appointment. Guys, if you lead generate enough, it don't matter. You're always going to have a big pipeline, but don't get attached to the outcome, because sometimes you can't win it all. And I say it all the time on our team. When you're making calls, when you're prospecting, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and it goes just the opposite way too. Just the more that you do this, the better that you will get, and you're always going to fail. I'm sorry to tell you, you're always going to fail. But you pick yourself up, you wipe yourself off, and you get right back to it, because that's the difference in between a realtor and a great realtor, is the ones that stick around, because you will have major success in this business if you just keep going. So many people quit because it's so hard, because we get the doors hitting in our face all the time, or we don't get that listing that we thought that we were going to get. There's success on the other side of that. Royce made calls the other day in Georgia. He's only been there for 2 weeks. He did four hours of cold call, he talked to 20 people, because part of what I'm gonna tell Greg is part of our, and all of you guys, is what we're supposed to be doing on our team. He made 20 calls, he did not get one single person to set an appointment with him. And you know what he said on our coaching call? He said, it's okay. He said, tomorrow, because I'm gonna make more calls. And the next thing he did, he made more calls, and he said, 33 acre farm with 2 houses on it, 650,000, which is a luxury listing in his market. I mean, that's just what you gotta do. You gotta dig until you make some progress.
Well, he figured out his conversion rate. Every call was $76, even if they said no.
Even if they said no, so that really lit a fire underneath his butt, and this is the crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, putting the dollars in the time. He's in a very small office, and you guys are gonna crack up. There's only 11 people in this total. 11, that's how little his little market center is. Yes.
How do you handle fear, like, like safety fear? You know what I mean, like whenever you're going to a house.
You should not go. There. Go, try to wish it out.
I went with Greg.
Or take someone.
Yeah. We've had safety classes here, and I would love to do another safety class here, about take someone with you, don't pull into the driveway first. Be on the street, set an alarm on your phone for 5 minutes, hey, I gotta take this call real quick. Let someone know where you're gonna be.
Always.
If there's a basement, go into the basement first, go in the basement after them. So
Or don't go in the basement.
So, yeah, we do have safety classes in here, and as I said, I would love to teach one.
Yeah, well, you should be the couple times a year.
Yeah.
Nobody teaches or take it. Is there a certain situation that happened?
No, it's just like, it was like,
Pepper spray.
I met them at, open house, so I didn't know about it. I searched the phone number with the apps that we have and all that. But it's just like, I was like scared of going myself then. I could ask my husband, but then I was like, okay, and also it was my first listing. So I was a bunch of everything together, and I was like, I don't know these people, and they told me to go, after 5 to their house. What is this,
Yeah.
and all those things together. So, and they called me at the last minute. I mean, at the beginning, they went to the open house and they didn't say, I would like to list my house with you and all that. They did all the questions and all that. And that's it. And then the next day they called me and say, hey, can you come at this time? And I was like, okay, so that just, blow my confidence and all that. And I was like, what
And
if?
by the way, she did that in bold, she was at my table. She did that during bold.
Oh, that's
She
awesome.
called during the homework.
And then you got the.
And now you have that.
Well, I would first say, if your intuition tells you that something's not right, it's normally not. Okay. Secondly, you don't want to leave any money on the table, so call someone here or have your husband go with you to that appointment. And just say, one of my business partners is gonna come with me. Immediately, if you just say that language, and if they are truly people that are gonna hurt you, they're not gonna let you go through that appointment. My business partner is coming with me, and just leave it, don't even ask for permission. I'll meet with 5 o'clock, and I'm also gonna bring my business partner with me. That way you can kind of peel, what they're wanting to do. Yeah, so I would definitely use that script as much as you can, but this is what I do with my husband. All of my appointments go to my calendar. I was actually telling David today, when I set my listening appointments, I'll put listening appointment first, and then I'll put the person's name, and then I always attach Aaron to it. So Aaron always knows where I'm at every single minute. I don't have like 360 on my phone that would go bonkers with how much I drive. But he has the address as well. So before I go to a listening appointment, I still do it to this day, even if it's in my neighborhood. Aaron, I'm going to 123 Main Street, and I don't take my phone in, so he cannot call me, right? Now, if I'm on a farm, he can, so I have my phone in my pocket. But if I'm in a house, I won't. But that might be something that you can do for your safety, just making sure that you have those extra layers of protection there. And don't feel bad about bringing your husband. They know that he's not a real They don't know. He can be a resource. He's a lender, isn't he?
Yeah. There you go. No, actually, he goes everywhere with me, but since it was the listing, and he said, well, I don't feel like I can help you out with that. So it was like, call somebody from your office if you don't feel confident. And then I started, it was the last minute thing, and I started calling everybody. But then Craig said, I'm gonna make it hot. And so I was like, okay, you know what I mean? I was like, why are you working? Like, half block from the house.
Well, I think you did a great thing, because what you don't wanna do is ever put yourself in danger. And there are some great things out there.
I know, and you know, at the end, it was like, then I feel bad myself, I was like, wow, I didn't have doubts about these people, and they are the sweetest people that I have met. And, they buy, we are close, they buy a house with them today.
Yeah.
And, we still have the other one listed, but, you know, they have been crazy, and I mean, they're the sweetest ones, and actually yesterday they told me, you are the best realtor we have ever had. That's what I recommend you with
That's
with
awesome.
whoever is selling or buying, because you go more than 100% or whatever.
That's awesome. So you created what we call on our team a raving fan.
Yeah, and yesterday they were like, you know what, our relationship, I don't wanna end up when you sell our house.
We're gonna tell them that you're not.
We want you to come, you know, like our friends and all that, and I was like, that's what I try to do.
Wow, and when you build your business, you can do all kinds of things. You know, you can have like a little happy hour, you can do all kinds of things to stay in touch with your clients, and you're going to end up doing that. There's a lot of classes that will teach you different touch points for that. I have a rule in my team, or with my clients, and I tell them straight up, if you are going to be my client, you're never leaving me, and I hope that you're okay with that. Well, I just set the tone right up front, because my clients are my clients forever. I don't want anybody ever taking them from me, because I spend a lot of time with them. They're not leaves.
Clients for life.
Clients for life, right? So here are just some other objections. We will not go through all of this because this is more scripted, but you guys have it in your all's books. Now you have to be careful with this, fee, right? Because we can't really talk commission, so that's one of the reasons why we're not gonna do that, but you guys can kind of go through this, because they're still legitimate. You can still use them. The other step is just really knowing how people win and lose with you, and here are some scripts for that as well. It's really simple, guys. If you just ask the question when you're at the appointment, they're gonna tell you everything. They can't wait to tell you everything, and they certainly can't wait to tell you everything if they've done it for sale by owner or expired. Because expired people already want to sell their house, they're just mad at their agent that didn't get it sold before, so you gotta show up bigger and make sure that you can get the work done for them. And number 15, you wanna make sure that you close. I never go into an appointment without already knowing how I'm gonna close the deal. I'm not ever leaving that house unless I ask them, can I earn your business today? Have I done enough to prove to you that my skill set is way different than any other agent? Like you are going to, like wherever I'm at, like let's say I'm number one, that you're going to interview. And Bold has taught me this, and I've actually had this used against me too, but I love the class of Bold. When you close, and they said, well, you know what, we were already committed, you know, to interview 3 other agents, and you say, I completely understand that. And I totally respect your time, and I'm sure that they're gonna respect your time too, because the last thing that they wanna do is come in here and do a listing presentation, and you already know that they're not going to take your listing because you're gonna list with me. Let me go ahead and call them for you today. And I've done that, and I'm good friends with most of the agents in my area, most. Not all, but I will call them, not all. Some people, but this is the funniest thing, we had a brand new agent, and I like to tell all the stories, because I've used that before, and it has helped me get it received, but I had a brand new agent, very first time he was in Bold, I recruited his parents from my other company to this company, they were with us for about 4 years, we finally got out of college, he came and started working, his name's Ben, he's freaking awesome, and he called me one day, and I was like, hey, Ben, what's up? He goes, you're gonna hate me. And I was like, what's up? He goes, well, that listing down on Williamstown Lake, you know, I went in the other day and they wanna hire me. He said, so I'm calling you to let you know that you don't have to go to the listing. And this was the funniest thing. Anybody else would have been butt sore about it, and I applaud him. Because at that point, it was like 7 times the goal for me, first one for him, and he was doing the work. I mean, he beat me. It's fair and square, and he sold that house, fair and square. And it wasn't a deal. It's because I love the fact that he did the work, right? So for you all, that is a beautiful script for you all to know, especially if you are in competition with another agent. The sellers do not want to sit through another listing presentation if you killed it, and they certainly don't want to make that call because they don't want to let anybody down. And it's okay for you to make the call. You just do it out of kindness. And yeah, you might rub some people the wrong way, but at the end of the day, we all know there's enough business for all of us to go around. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's super important to every single time you do a transaction, or you're talking to an agent, or you're showing their property, show respect to everybody. I've gotten so far in this business because of my heart and who I am, instead of being so mean and docile like a lot of the agents are out there. Like I'm not. I want them to know that I truly care about them and I want them to win too. And it has helped me so much in negotiation. And a lot of agents will tell you, oh, I don't want to be friends with other agents. It's a conflict of interest. Bad idea. It's all about relationships here, guys. And it is definitely one a lot of them fall for over the last few years, because they definitely want to be doing deals with people that are hungry instead of people that are bulldogs on the other side. So the scripts on here, you guys can go through them as well. So after our conversation tonight, I feel we have the makings of a win-win relationship. Would you agree? This is when you're closing. Is there any other reason not to go ahead and sign contract today? Are we ready to move forward with this? Is there anything that we need to do before we get started? Would you like me to give a self view? My script's a little bit different. I mean, I just asked them, hey, have I proved my work to you today? I hope that you can understand why I'm the second largest listing agent in Northern Kentucky, and I want to put my skills to work for you tonight. And there's a lot of other things that I do as well, but that's pretty much the basics of how we talk and how we end the sale. I hope that you guys never go to the listing presentation and don't ask for the business before you walk out the door. Don't do that, because then you just wasted all of your time, because that's not the professional that you are. If you do that, then you leave so much on the table, because then they will go and have those other complications with someone else. You have to ask for the business, because we are salespeople, guys, at the end of the day. We have to get them to sign on the dotted line if we're going to represent them. And that is it. So let me go through your question, Greg, and I think that this will help everyone out. David, Christy, and Wendy here know that how we follow up with people is we get to know a lot of people. So our daily activities on our team is to lead generate 3 hours a day. That's not, that's just a Keller Williams rule of thumb, right? We have documents, and I will make sure that I have all of your all's emails that are in this class, and I'll get them from Allie. I'll email you the documents that we coach off of. Number one is, once you get a lead, I have and this is old school, because I also do it online, so I have it 2 separate ways. I'm a pencil and pen agent. I don't have my book in here right now, but how I take all of my leads that come in, I will fill up. I don't see one in here, because the ones that's with me. But I have like literally a 3-room binder. That is the very first thing that I buy 12 of them in here. And I literally start off with a 3-room binder. The call when I'm taking it is all my notes, right? The name of the person, and then up in the right corner, it's exactly where I got the lead from. And then I take that lead and then I put them into committee.
Okay, so you write down a person on a lead sheet. And you get 12 binders, one for each month.
Yeah, I fill out the binders and on my leads, so I want every single page to be, that's like mentality. Like, I want to fill up a 3-ring binder with leads, to either give my agents or take myself, and if I don't get that, it's just a way for me to just kick myself in the booty, right? Because I'm a little bit different than most people. I think probably in between my cold calling and my regular lead gen, 6 hours a day is about what I do, and I've done it ever since I got my license here.
Yeah, because I remember somebody else doing that, the big top agent, and what they also did is there were leads that, man, I guess that other agents on the team could go back to and call.
Yeah, on people.
But yeah, just kind of on, but then.
Then they get lost.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother situation. I'll
Yeah.
talk to you about that outside of here, but number one, I have a lead tracker, which is just a list, right? But what I did over the years is, because I do get so many leads, and it's a blessing and it's a curse all at the same time, because I do lose them through, the holes. But the very first thing is I either put them on my lead tracker, which is just a list, right? And I'll send you guys the tracker. I have it now in Google Sheets, and this is how I did it. In my Google Sheets, the very first tab is people that I'm trying to recruit, and it's all in one sheet together, because I love to refer people to this company. So I've got 131 agents on that.
Profit share.
42,000. Cool. And that's not good for me. That's not good. I should be at 100.
What's your best?
That.
100,000?
No. 41,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He asked me what my profit share. Yeah, profit bringing people in. So I lead generate for a lot of things. So my very first sheet, my first tab is agents that I'm working on. Then my second tab is pipeline sellers. Okay, it's Google Sheet. My third tab, pipeline buyers.
Yeah.
And then my last 2 tabs is my hot buyers and my hot sellers. Now, sometimes those two can be the same, because I interswitch those people out, so that's on Google Cloud. So that's just a Google Sheet, you guys can create that for yourself. But I also just have my hardcore paper, because I can't put everything in a computer, because when I got into real estate, guys, I had never even had a typing class. No, when I went to college, my mom typed all my papers for me. And I remind you guys, I couldn't even spell, so you definitely had to do all that. But when I was in school, like high school, I was in band and I was in choir. So I never had to take a typing class. Well, I come into the real estate world and I have to know like all of these programs. I didn't know how to type. So let me tell you, anyone can do it, y'all can do this. So I had someone create that for me because I didn't know that in the world of technology. So I have this, but I also just have the hardcore sheets. So they go on the sheets. And then us, our team, every single day, 5 days a week, we are typically generate 3 days a week, and then I can send you guys our greatness tracker. And our greatness tracker, guys, I got it from a class called the Core. It was a 3-year class that I went to. 32 agents in the United States chose to be part of this class. And the paper is just a paper, and it doesn't work for you unless you actually work it. And I've changed it up over the years because there's different things that our team does. But the very first block is face-to-face appointments, like literally meeting people, going into their office, whatever, face-to-face handshakes. The next blocks are 60 blocks, 60 conversations about real estate that we all should be having all the time. And then we have other ones, how many videos you should cut a week, how many handwritten letters you should cut a week, how many referrals you should get, how many people you're talking about real estate, because I want them to come to your all's premiere night. That is our 9 to 5, because if you're coming out of a real job, you don't know what the heck to do. I mean, you come to KW, you're getting hosed, like there's so much stuff to do, but if you can just hyper focus on that page, it just tells you every day what to do. And in the blocks, you can write in their name. Do you guys have one of your on you by chance in here? If not, I'll send you one, but you would write in their name. So if you talk to David today, he was a prospect, and it's Monday, you would just write David Reed. And then you would take his information and get it into command, because we even have a block how many people we get into command. I have put the most systematic things on that page to make sure at the end of the week, you feel accomplished, because in real estate, there's so many times you don't feel accomplished. There's so many times that you're on the phone and you're not setting the appointments. But if you're doing the things, and I love David, he brought this into our team, digging the worms and laying the seeds. And when you do that over and over again, you can't lose. It's just part of it. So that is one of the reasons why we're so good at follow-up ratings, because we have those systems in place. So we have a lead tracker, and then we have the greatness tracker, and they can kind of go on top of each other. I don't even have them really use the lead tracker because we have everything inside of Command now. But for me, I'm not a Command person. I don't like computers. I want it all. I want to go through my papers and go through them constantly. And I'm very, very good at when that next month comes, because we're just in January now, we're getting ready to go into February, I'll go back through all of those leads, and whoever I've not closed, I'll take them out, put them in this. I make sure they all get into command, and then I set up appointments with them 7 days later, just in command. And then what I coach my team to do is every Friday, make one video. And it's just, and Roy's actually brought this to one of the classes. We do it.
Do it all the time.
All the time. I picked up millions of dollars of business off TikTok.
Yes.
Like, I'm on TikTok, I don't watch TikTok. Mackenzie does.
Well, so
We can.
Mackenzie, our marketing,
Now, she tells us what's trending, and what's trending is real estate. Everybody wants to know about the real estate. You can just cut a video and just throw it on TikTok. Don't worry about it.
How's that turn into
Yeah.
a lead though?
Because you do them over. So one of the things that I wanted to go over with you guys.
That's a whole nother class.
No, I could say real quick, so Jennifer did a video on TikTok about what she loved about Kentucky.
Northern Kentucky and moving to the Northern
And
Kentucky.
my Colorado items, $900,000 deal, plus his ex-wife, plus his
You got that
ex-wife.
$10,000 deal from TikTok?
Yeah.
Holy.
Plus, the ex-wife,
Yeah,
the ex-wife's girlfriend,
the whole thing.
the whole family's, I've gotten 4 deals off of it.
okay.
All off my TikTok that
She
you
was
can
what
do
you
this.
love about Kentucky, when they started looking at farms in Kentucky, they didn't find anything, Jill was like, hey, can you show them some farms in Indiana? Sure, they're from Colorado.
But how'd that call come in?
TikTok.
They saw,
You can message on.
Yeah.
they saw Jennifer on TikTok.
And it's not something that's gonna happen on one. This is-
It's worldwide.
Yeah.
Sometimes the last video on TikTok I did 1,200 views. That's 1,200 touches. 1,200 people saw these signs.
Yeah, and that's a lead source, it's not on the old lead source that's actually in the KW book, right?
United States.
Correct. It's free. So back to what Craig, the question that Craig asked is, what is the steps in the process to our business? Guys, you don't get to where we're at without having processes. I mean, it's just, consistency is key in everything that you do in life to be the best at what you know, who you are. Like I was talking to Craig about one family reunion again. I've been with this company this year for 15 years. I've only missed 2 family reunions. One was during COVID, one was when my husband had. That's how dedicated ourselves to be the best. So you have to study, you have to practice, and you have to have systems and models. And what I'm gonna say to you guys is that paper, what I'm gonna tell you all, is if you take that greatest tracker, the key to that is you should make $100,000. If you do it every single, if you fill in all those boxes, and I had to do it, if I didn't do it when I was doing core training, $1,000 a week. That's how it is. So, right there. The last thing that I want to talk about is just accountability. We all are in real estate, we're all our own bosses. If you do not have an accountability partner, it's going to be really, really hard for you guys to go to that next level. And I don't know how it's set up in this office, but it's really good if you guys can find someone that you know, that you mesh with really well and just set some goals for yourself. And you should really be setting them around lead gen and figuring out how to become a predominant listing agent, because those 2 things, if you have those as your one thing, there's no stopping you. If you even take a smidge of what this class taught you today, you use some of that, you know, those terms and those words and those questions when you're in your next listing, you're already going to be way better than the majority of people. So consistency is something that I've been really, really good at my whole life. I don't ever want to show up small for someone. I want to be the biggest me, and the way to be the biggest me is to make sure that I have the training. I was born with a heart. Thank goodness God gave me like amazing people skills. And I never knew that as a young kid. Like I had no idea. I was getting squats every day. But I was getting squats because I was talking as your people person, right? I was a people person.
So Jen, with your profit share, since you threw out that number,
Yeah.
when you love on your people, does that come from your profit share?
Oh yeah. Yeah. All the parties that I have
So-
announced, every single, yeah,
And if you all have never been to a Vories team client party,
they're nuts.
it's out of this world.
I take it to another level, like,
Oh my God.
big time.
I'll find a plan.
Yeah, the last one we had 600 people at.
My goodness.
Yeah, we had, this will tell you how our playing field is a little bit different. And you have to make the money to be able to afford it. So we had face painters, balloon artists, a petting zoo, a live band from Nashville, a DJ, catered food. One year we had food trucks. Don't ever do that. That cost me 10 grand. That was way too much. That put me in the poorhouse. That was 2 chefs, right? And we have,
It's cigar
the
rollers,
cigar roller this year from Nicaragua. We have, caramel apples.
the car with the dog.
Oh, we had a cartoon artist that drew. We had massage therapists, 2 of them that set up 360 photo booth. See, I forget, they're so big now, I can't even keep up with them. And that's our big part for everyone, which Christy and David and Wendy have to grow this market for us to be able to do it here. But we're starting out with the River Pass game because that's how I started out in Kentucky. We have a team similar to your all. I would have all my parties there. And as I grew, and David, yeah, I do use a lot of my profit share for all that.
Profit share that KW gives you.
Share.
Yeah.
You're supposed to share it.
Mhm.
And that's just how my mind works. Like when you get as much as I have gotten, and Chris will tell you, even when I was broke as a joke, I was a giver. That's just who I am.
And I just told you that kids are being,
Yeah.
and when you only paid 20,000, you gave only 50% of it.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
not that.
I mean, truly, I always do believe it all comes back to you in the end. It's never ours anyway, right? And the better you are to people, the more people are gonna want to work with you, the more generous you are, even if your skill set sucks, they probably still want to work with you because you're generous. Yeah, so that's my soapbox. So what questions do you guys have before we end it?
I have a question, like when you go to those listing appointments and like, you're like, oh, this house is dirty, oh, this house could use paint, like, how do you approach that?
On a
And like
scale
when
of
they,
1 to 10.
Do what?
On a scale of 1 to 10, that's how I start all my questions. Cause you
How
never
would you
know
rate
what
your
10
house?
is.
Like I did a deal last year and like it was family, so you have to tread differently there. But it was, he didn't want to pay anybody to do anything. So the guys from church were coming to paint. Well, then like the white trim was great. So like, I just didn't know if there was a,
Well, you're always gonna have those situations, right, with parents or, friend, like your best friends. But this is the thing, if you're a consultant, you're gonna treat them all the same. You should never deviate from who you are and what your business is. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Mom, how honest can I be with you? I'm gonna treat you like every single other client that I've ever treated. Is that fair? They don't wanna be treated any different. They want their home sold for the most amount of dollars most of the time, right? And if they come back and they say, you know what, I don't wanna do all this, say, well, are you okay not making exactly? what the
right.
market
And that's where the
is?
conversation went. We ended up making it an as-is listing because
And David's had those where people did not want to do anything, and that's okay.
Yep,
It's
I
okay.
went in and done that. I went in and caulked the window. I went in and painted.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
we've all been showing houses, like one house in Arctic Springs in Jeff. She's not with KW, she's one of these agents, she just puts the sign in the yard, and then she wants her name to sell it, cause she's a big agent. There was dead birds on the floor. Why couldn't she go
Yeah.
and pick up those
If
dead
she had
birds?
this money, she could send a cleaning crew in to do
Yeah.
that, right?
Cause she didn't wanna do the extra steps. Well, if I have a house,
But if you have too good, then I think that messes up.
Well, you better never throw out the bridges.
in the life sales where these people can't do something, well, what's a little drywall patch? What's a little touch-up paint if they have the paint? What's an hour of my time that I'm gonna sell their house? And that's gonna set me apart, it's gonna set you apart from every other agent.
I think if you always use that on a scale of 1 to 10, how honest can I be with you? It sets the tone that, one, they know you're gonna be honest. They're never gonna say no. It just gives you permission to literally start critiquing. And you don't have to be negative, a critique is a
Right,
critique,
right.
right?
And I'm also, when I'm doing listings, I'm showing them what's out there, like this is your current competition, so how would you rate your house against these 3 that are in your neighborhood?
And you better every single time, yeah.
They've all looked on the, ones
Yeah,
that
they already know.
They've
Like,
already
here's the ones that have sold, but here's the ones that you're gonna be up against, and we're in a price competition or a beauty contest and a price war, so
Love
how do you think you?
I've never said it in the price war. I always use beauty competition. You
Beauty
said all the
competition
time.
and price
And a
war.
price war. Okay, see, I need to learn something today. I love it. I love it.
thought Jennifer Voorhees said
No,
that.
what I would say is, well, because people will be like, I want to wait until the spring to list. And I'm like, well, that's great. Tell me more about that. You don't want to just pounce on them. You want to hear what they have to say. And then I would come in with that. I'd rather list you right now because competition is so low. If I'm in a beauty pageant, I want to win. And if there's 20 other girls in the beauty pageant, my likelihood of winning is pretty low. So your house up against 20 other houses, it's better today because there's only 3 houses on the market. Let's go ahead and get you listed now instead of waiting for the other 20 that we're going to be in competition with. And I've never used price. That is
That is
I bet you will next.
Well, another reason why I love to teach is because I learn from you guys too. Like, we're all in this together.
And that's the best thing about scripting is I can learn from you, like I just picked that up, I can learn from Jennifer.
For everybody.
And see, I'll give you some notes on what they want to say. Yeah, isn't that a good one?
It's good, that's great.
Yeah, it's really, really good. All right, what else? Because I can literally talk all day. I've got so much knowledge up here in my brain. Craig, I hope that those 2 things.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and then this is the other thing that I will tell you, Craig, if you have those people, if you have those people on your list, Craig, that you haven't got to hit yet, that you don't have in listings yet, do one video, it's what I'm saying, hey, this is Craig, it's Friday, I just want you to know I'm thinking about you. Don't forget about me when it comes time to go buy or sell, whatever it is. One video, super quick, and you can send that to multiple people. It is just a little touch.
Yeah.
It's just a touch.
With their face.
With their face. Every Friday, just get super consistent on that. You really should, probably should.
Just send that out to your lead.
Well, whoever that is. Because it's quick and dirty, and when I have my job to talk, I'll be on the phone.
Yeah.
Jen,
Valentine's
who do you
Day.
send that to? Who do you send that video to?
You, who else?
No, she said that video,
Okay, so
Facebook friends, to your
Spears.
your.
That's a loaded question, girl, because I am the video queen. So any lead that I have, and I have many, because I tell you, I have books of them. I already have in my phone, like big text message spots, and you can only get like 3 people on a text message. So I already have them saved, so I'm sending out that same video to, let's say it's people that, yeah, a lot of people, these people haven't decided to list yet, they're waiting for the spring. So I say, hey, it's Jen, it's getting a little bit warmer outside, I just drove a little today, guess what, they don't even have any snow, are you guys ready to list your house yet? No names. They don't know that it's going to 20 other people, it's just a little, because I have such a big book of business, I can't make a ton of calls, so I'm on the phone all the time.
Okay, so you don't have a book of business.
Whoever you're prospecting, whoever you spoke to that day, so this is how I coach them. Number one thing that we need to do every single morning, call expireds and for sale by owners. The first person on the phone normally will get the deal. 7 o'clock in the morning is normally, well, that's when I started, 7 o'clock. I don't anymore, I don't have to, if I did. Yeah, I don't go after.
People upset, people
Okay,
upset.
personally, you're not. They want to sell their house. I mean, are you in business to make money? Are you in business to be nice? Like you've got to sell properties and they need to sell. They're low hanging fruit. All of those, the for sale by owners and the expireds already have their hands up. And they're literally saying, I need to sell my house. I need someone to sell my house. So your call to them is first, expireds and for sale by owners. The second one is, and I love this, this is my favorite way to lead gen, or it was, pick a listing that somebody's listed in your office or anywhere, wherever, it's gonna be in this office, but the area that you love. And then circle prospect around that listing. 1, 2, 3 Main Street just in the market. I'm sure that, you wanna know what your neighbor's house is on the market for. I'm just calling to let people know, courtesy call, that it's 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, it's listed for $250. And all you're doing is just having a conversation with someone, and the more calls you make, what the message at the beginning, when one sign goes in the yard, 3 more signs are gonna follow. Someone, if you make enough calls, you're gonna say, you know what, I was thinking about this. And our program is called Whole Realty, COLE realty.com. That's what you can pull data out of there. It's a janky website. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest with you, but that's about the only place that you can actually get that data. So COLE realty.com. You can get anybody's numbers on there, and then they're on the do not call list, it'll be in pink. So-
Do you leave messages?
See it for sale by owners.
I mean, unless I have something about home, if it's in Town where I live at, I leave messages all day, because I have a connection with my neighbors, because I do so much of my neighborhood, but normally I leave messages because then they'll call back, because I want to get them when they actually call. Thank you.
My DI is loving your DI.
In person.